Section 17 of A Bunch of Keys, Where They Were Found and What They Might Have Unlocked. A Christmas Book, edited by Tom Hood. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Greg Giordano. The End by T. W. Robertson. I woke up with a start and found my father, the Reverend Dewhurst, Mr. Strongatharm, and Bob standing by my bedside. The bunch of keys were in the same place where I had seen them before I went to sleep, at the end of the rope hung opposite my bed. Father looked very grave and carried in his hand a small switch. I noticed this because it was not his habit to walk about with a stick or a whip. "Get up, sir," said Father. "A nice chase you have given us." "And what a sad amount of unnecessary anxiety," said the Reverend Dewhurst. "Poor Martha! I thought she would have died when she found that you had gone." "We'll settle all about that presently," said Father. "Aye, sir, that's right," chimed in Mr. Strongatharm. I began to cry. "It's no use crying," said Father. "Not a bit," chimed in Mr. Strongatharm. "Get up and dress yourself at once." I rose and put on my stockings in the lowest possible spirits. "And now, Dewhurst," said Father, "if before this bad boy is quite dressed, you will take Robert for a walk." "Quite right," said the Reverend Dewhurst. Oh, he was a severe one, he was. "And if you, Mr. Strongatharm, will kindly excuse us for 5 minutes." "Pleasure, sir. Take longer if you wish it. Make yourself quite at home. You'll find a rope's end there, sir." And Mr. Strongatharm pointed to the rope from which depended the bunch of keys. And I had considered him a friend. I looked at Bob, who looked at me, and seemed loath to go. The Reverend Dewhurst took him by the hand. But at the door Bob disengaged himself, and coming up to Father said, "Please, Father, don't beat Stephen. It was my fault more than his. It was, indeed." Father looked at Mr. Dewhurst, who looked back at him, and then they both looked at the light-keeper, who looked back at them. Father stooped and kissed Bob's forehead and said, "You go with Mr. Dewhurst, Robert, like a good boy." And the three left the room. When Father and I were left alone, but I will pass over what occurred when Father and I were left alone, as uninteresting to the general reader and painful to me. Bob and I were taken home, but not to stay there long. We soon departed for a great house, far, far from Amy, with whom I still correspond through the medium of a sympathetic housemaid. Father had won his chancery suit, and, as he said, had got his own at last. We, that is, Bob and I, are to pass a year at the Reverend Dewhurst's. Oh, happiness! Oh, bliss! Oh, joy! And then we go to Eton. Father often writes to Mr. Strongatharm, who gets somebody to write back for him. Nothing has transpired to clear up the mystery of the bunch of keys, and whether mad old Tilson or anybody else threw them into the stream, or how they came there, is not known to this day, and most likely never will be. The End. End of Section 17. Recording by Greg Giordano, Newport Richey, Florida. End of A Bunch of Keys, Where They Were Found and What They Might Have Unlocked. A Christmas Book, edited by Tom Hood.